Welcome to Eagle Break News, your on-campus guide to what's happening on campus. I'm Zoe Moody.
And I'm Joshua Ridings.
Welcome to our special edition episode featuring short films happening on campus. And one such... Okay, ready. For this episode of Eagle Break, I thought it would be fun to focus on short films being made on campus by fellow students. One such student is Colin Sanders, who recently showcased some of his short films on campus. His most recent short film, King of Kings, was awarded Best Student Film for the monthly Indie Shorts Film Festival, was an official selection of the Apex Film Awards, and is an official selection for the Fayetteville Film Festival. His previous film, Exodus, was a finalist for the Toronto Independent Film Festival, a semi-finalist for the London Indie Short Festival, and a winner at the Los Angeles Film Awards, the Indie X Film Fest, the monthly Indie Shorts, and the Montreal Independent Film Festival. We invited Colin into the studio today to talk about his experience. I'm here with Colin Sanders to talk about his experience making short films here at JBU. Colin, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me, Zoe.
Yeah, of course. Now, funny, I think I've seen you use this studio before, is that right?
Yes, I shoot in here often.
Well, it must feel like home to be here then.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I didn't know that you are a junior. So you haven't even made a senior project yet, and you're already making short films. So I would consider you already a filmmaker.
Well, I mean, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and I just watched your two short films, and I kind of want to dive a little bit into that because you were able to get those into some pretty significant film festivals. How does that even work? How do you manage to do that?
Well, I guess it started with Exodus, the first film I did. I shot it last spring, I believe, or spring my freshman year. So I think 2 years ago or something. But anyway, I shot it, and before that, I really didn't have any experience with film festivals. So I just kind of started submitting it to as many as I could find. And at first I was getting a lot of rejection letters, which is pretty common, especially for starting filmmakers. But I started to get a few acceptance letters, and I slowly started to get into some more festivals, which was nice. And so yeah, it just kind of went from there. But with King of Kings, the second one that I did after Exodus, I started to do a little more research into how to actually strategize where to send your film and which festivals you'd want to submit to, and because there's a huge strategy component to it, and so I think I've had a lot more luck with it this time around.
Yeah, for sure. Research in any case usually helps. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So, kind of with your experience here at JBU, you've been doing this your entire time at JBU. Were you making short films before coming to JBU?
Yes. So it's a long story, but to make it short, when I was in elementary school.
Oh wow, all the way back.
I'll jump. I used to watch this, well, my brother showed me this YouTube group that they would do comedy sketches and stuff like that, and I was always really fascinated by that, so I tried it myself with an inexpensive camera and iMovie. So, you know, I started to get kind of I developed a passion for that, and then some guys and I in high school would get together and make short comedy videos, and in my senior year of high school, I actually really, for the first time, tried to make a film or like a short film, and took it a little more seriously. And I think that's when I realized that I wanted to do that as a career.
Yeah.
So, coming to JPU, a big component was that their film program was notable. So.
Yeah, so you would have come in then already decided digital cinema major. So my question is, what specific classes or professors or maybe the students or resources have you found on campus that have really helped you hone this craft?
Yeah, really just a little bit of everything. You know, obviously our cinema professor, Steve Snedeker, has been enormously helpful. Not only in class, but outside of class. Like he'll give me critiques on screenwriting and help me out with technical issues. But like classes I've learned a shocking amount. I didn't actually think I would learn that much in class, but it's been pretty cool. And then, of course, you know, the resources. Yeah, I have cameras we can check out, and this space we can use whenever we want. It's just kind of like a playground that they just give you toys, and you go teach yourself how to do all these really cool things. So.
Yeah, that's the best way to learn, to do it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you've been able to already be doing it through your college time here. So another question that I have, speaking back on the film festivals, one of the film festivals you submitted to is the Toronto Independent Film Festival. So here's my question. Are you able to attend all of these like film festivals? Like, did you go to Toronto?
I did not go to Toronto.
Okay.
So a lot of the film festivals that I submitted Exodus to were online festivals because it was kind of during the height of COVID.
Oh, gotcha.
So a lot of festivals had introduced this online component to their whole events, and that was a cool experience. And a lot of festivals still have the online component, but I actually was able to attend the Fayetteville Film Festival a few weeks ago for Kings. So yeah, I would say the majority of festivals, either because they're, you know, really far away or because they're mostly online, I tend not to attend all of them. But,
okay, gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Toronto's far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after looking at your short films, I did watch both of them. I want to talk to you more as a director, you know, storyteller, filmmaker. I feel like there may be some running themes. Comparing the two side by side, there's skeletons in both of them. They seem to maybe be playing with life and death. So I kind of wanted to talk to you as like a storyteller, a director. There are specific things that you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I guess there are just, I think aesthetic-wise, there are a lot of things that I have been inspired by in my life, and I could point to those things as being primary inspirations for how I would like to depict certain ideas.
Sure.
But I think it's a big part of it is just, well, in high school I took a lot of classes. I went to Care Paravel Latin School in Topeka, Kansas, and they stressed really, really hard on these three core values of truth, goodness, and beauty. And we had all these literature classes that would relate back to these ideas. And we had a 2-year philosophy course that would relate back to those principles. And so we read a lot of philosophy. And at first I really didn't like it. But upon coming to college, I realized that a lot of those things had stayed with me. And so I'm actually minoring in philosophy now. So I'm taking a lot more philosophy courses. And I'm trying to read a lot more because I realized that those things really did have a
influence.
Yeah. And so it's cool to see those things kind of manifest themselves in like what I write.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to learn how to actually incorporate those ideas into filmmaking, which is difficult. And I don't know if I've gotten there yet, but I'm learning. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up your aesthetic, because you do think, at least with those two back-to-back, have a certain aesthetic style. And I do want to congratulate you, because I have been to some student film festivals. I've seen some pretty, you know, with, you know, no bad, it's hard making a movie. It really is hard, but you are able to somehow really elevate. You're able to elevate the quality in just the cinematography and the visuals. Very, like, I think impressive for like a student short film, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So that's kind of impressive. I was gonna say, yeah, kind of. I'm gonna find my question. So yeah, stylistically. Okay. So, with some short films under your belt, do you have some big plans for after graduating?
Well, you'd think I would. It's really difficult to plan things when you go into the field of cinema, because it's all project based. I mean, unless unless your film screens at Sundance or Raindance or anywhere, you're probably not going to get a phone call asking to, or offering a directing gig in Toronto.
Sure, yeah.
So it's mostly networking, and it's mostly finding out what department you want to work in. A huge part of it is just really stressing, or really trying to get your name out there, and really trying to just make yourself available to people who are crewing for films, whether it's here locally. Northwest Arkansas is actually getting a pretty decent sized production house.
It is, yes.
And that's cool for our purposes. But yeah, I don't know. Ideally, I would really like to, eventually, obviously, I think LA is on the roadmap. But right now, I don't really want to go running off to Los Angeles just because I know it's like it's really expensive to live there, first of all.
Yeah.
And trying to keep things grounded and ideal.
Yeah, that sounds really practical.
Yeah.
So I think I'd be remiss if I didn't talk to a filmmaker on a Christian campus about Christian films. So obviously, Christian films have kind of a bad reputation. So kind of what is your take on it, and how do you approach like the stories you tell? Like, do you consider yourself like, okay, I'm going to make secular films or Christian films, or is that distinction really weird? I think it's weird.
I think it is a little bit weird. As a filmmaker, I have always been a very stern believer in the fact that I am a filmmaker first, and any other belief would kind of it would obviously bleed into what I do as a filmmaker, but in no circumstance should I compromise the story or the film to push a message or to push any kind of agenda, whether that be religion or politics. To me, it's all about the story that I'm trying to tell. So the way that usually works out for me is if I write a film like Exodus or King of Kings, then I will have a central idea. Like, for example, King of Kings, big idea of that was this idea of, sorry, I've said idea like 10 times, like classical romanticism. So the conflict between nature and industry was a big component of not only my film, but the poem it was based on. So, and that does align itself with biblical beliefs, but I would never push it as a Christian film.
Yeah.
Mostly because that's not really what my job is as a filmmaker, but also because they have a bad reputation.
Sure.
And I think the bad reputation is pretty well deserved. There are some not great Christian films.
Yeah, I could talk forever about Christian films and my own opinions on it, but I agree with you mostly in that like idea of like, I don't have to, just because I'm a Christian, make preachy films. Like, it does, what you believe is going to bleed into everything that you do. Like, I believe the director for the first Doctor Strange movie is a Christian. Yeah. And so I thought that was like, oh, that's cool. Now, I could be wrong. Someone could be like fact checking me, but I think I heard that was correct. And I was like, oh, okay, look at him go. Good job. But yeah, so how can people find your short films?
Well, a few different ways. I have a Vimeo page. It's where I put all of my original projects, as well as a YouTube channel. It's just my name, Colin Sanders. King of Kings is not available online yet, but I think it will be in like a year maybe.
Sure.
But yeah, YouTube and Vimeo. That's what
awesome.
I got.
Yeah, you guys should check out Colin Sanders' short films. Support local filmmakers. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Of course, thank you for having me.
It's great to see JBU students using their talents. So are there any opportunities for other students to get involved with filmmaking on campus?
Actually, yes. There's a couple things going on. First of all, any student can join the student club Golden Eagle Productions. It's a great way to meet fellow students interested in media production and short films, and the club supports students by giving them the tools they need to succeed, and also has the budget to help students financially. GEP actually helped Colin Sanders get his short films into several film festivals, and obviously that worked out really well for him. I'm actually in the process of producing a short film currently.
Well, that's exciting. And I believe there is a film festival coming up, right?
Yes, the McGuffin Film Festival.
The deadline for that is coming up quickly, right?
Yes, you can assemble your team. Get your friends, get your dorm mates, classmates, whoever you can convince to help you out, or you can do it solo. Once you figure that out, you can register for the competition. Next, you'll find out the festival's theme, and there's plenty of time to work on your pre-production. So that's writing your script, gathering materials, planning everything, and you'll want to plan everything because this is a friendly competition and there's a challenging element. You have between January 13th and January 22nd to complete the film. That's your window for production and pre-production. Now, we don't want people cheating, so you'll be given a secret MacGuffin item on the 13th. You have to include the MacGuffin in some way into your film, which shows us that you didn't start till the 13th. It can be an Easter egg or a critical part of your plot. Totally up to the filmmakers. And if you submit by the deadline on the 22nd, you're eligible to win some incredible prizes. I'm talking big prizes. But if you submit it after the 22nd, we can still show your film at the festival.
Wow, that's a lot of information.
I know, it's a lot, which is why if you have any questions, you can email me at rosszf@jbu.edu for more information and how to register. And the whole campus is invited for the Red Carpet Festival event in the spring semester. It's going to be amazing.
So many things are coming up. Thanks for joining us on this special episode of Eagle Break News. There's so much happening on campus, and if you know a good story, we want to share it.
Email us at jbueaglebreak@gmail.com with your stories or ideas for what we should cover on EBN. And if you're interested, scan this QR code to get involved.
That's all from us at the news desk. Let's go to Caleb with sports.
Thanks, Zoe and Josh. The semester is starting to wind down, but exciting things are still happening in the last full week before Thanksgiving break. Mainly the basketball team starting conference play, while the NAIA tournament play begins for both soccer and volleyball. Let's break it down. The JBU women's basketball team is back at home this week for the first time since their season opener. They will open up conference play against Science and the Arts on Thursday, November 17th. The Drovers have a program that is consistently ranked high among the SAC's elite teams. And while JBU beat them in their most recent meeting on February 17th, the Golden Eagles have only beaten the Drovers on 2 other occasions in the last 5 years. The JBU women will look to start their conference schedule on the right foot, and this one is set to rumble at 6 p.m. Later that night, the JBU men's basketball team starts conference play, taking on Science and the Arts, a team that has gotten the better of JBU more often than not during their recent history. The Drovers have won 12 out of the last 16 meetings between the two teams, though JBU holds the all-time series lead 18-17. This is an important match for the men's basketball team that is looking to regain their footing after dropping 3 straight in non-conference action. The potential is high for this to be an exciting matchup. The clash between the two teams will start after the women's game at 7:45 p.m. After this, both teams will head on the road to face Texas Wesleyan at Sid Richardson Center in Fort Worth, Texas, on Saturday, November 19th. Texas Wesleyan is another team that has been dominant over the JBU women's basketball team in recent years, as the Rams have taken 7 out of the last 8 against the Golden Eagles. This matchup will break a 10-10 tie between the teams and will tip off at 2 p.m. After that, the JBU men are scheduled to do battle with the Rams at 3:45 p.m. The JBU men have lost 4 out of the last 5 matches against the Rams and hold a 7-13 record all-time against Texas Wesleyan. This isn't another important matchup for the team as they look to enter this game with their first official away game win of the season. We'll see if they can get this one when it goes underway. In other news, it is national tournament time around the NAIA. In soccer, the national tournament kicks off with opening rounds this week. On the men and women's side, the first and second rounds will be played from November 17th to November 19th. The teams that advance out of each bracket on the men's side will then face off in Decatur, Alabama for the national championships, while the bracket winners on the women's side will clash in Orange Beach, Alabama for the national championships. Those will take place from November 29th to December 5th. For volleyball, the opening round of the NAIA tournament takes place on Saturday, November 19th, with the winners moving on to play in Sioux City, Iowa for the national championships, which will take place from November 30th to December 6th. Good luck to all of our teams competing. Finally, to round out sports, I'd like to make time to highlight the recent successes of some more JBU student athletes. With soccer season reaching its conclusion, the Sooner Athletic Conference has announced its annual awards for both the men and the women. On the women's side, JBU had 7 all-conference selections, highlighted by Aubrey Mendez's second straight Defender of the Year nod, as well as the naming of Olivia Fish as the league's co-freshman of the year. Lauren Walter, Ryan Winningham, Elise Bozema, and Emma Schoenberg, as well as Mendez, were named to the All-SAC First Team. Pam Sealer and Chloe Griffin were named to the All-SAC Second Team. On the men's side, Jacob Zamaron adds to his legendary career as a John Brown Golden Eagle by being named to the SAC Offensive Player of the Year for this season. He was also named to the All-SAC First Team for a 4th consecutive season. Oscar Caballo, Mateo Ubrania, and Kendall Acuna were named to the All-SAC Second Team. Congratulations to all those that were recognized by the conference this season. It has been another good year for the JBU soccer program, and it's a great way to end off sports yet again. Well, folks, that is all for this week. Thank you for watching Eagle Break News, and have a happy Thanksgiving. I'm Caleb Takenaka, and as always, stay golden, Eagles.